Down, we know that activities like exercising, studying, or building a business pay off in the long run. Yet we gravitate towards easy, feel-good distractions like TV, games, or social media. Why? Because one set of activities feel fun and effortless, while the other feels like climbing a mountain. Still, some people seem to effortlessly dive into hard, productive tasks every day. What is their secret? Is there a way to make the hard things feel easier? Turns out the answer lies in a chemical in our brain, dopamine. Dopamine often gets called the pleasure molecule, but that's a bit misleading. It is what makes us want things. That desire drives us to get up and do stuff. To understand just how powerful dopamine is, let's look at some fascinating experiments on rats. Scientists implanted electrodes into the brains of the rats to stimulate their reward system whenever they pressed a lever. The result? The rats become obsessed. They press the lever repeatedly, ignoring food, water, and even sleep until they collapsed from exhaustion. In another experiment, scientists blocked the release of dopamine. This time, the rats become so lethargic that they wouldn't even get up to drink water or eat any food. They would only eat if the food was placed in their mouth. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure, it is the key to motivation. Without it, even survival tasks feel impossible. Now let's bring it back to us humans. Our brains prioritize tasks based on how much dopamine they release. Activities with high dopamine rewards like gaming, social media, or snacking become irresistible. Meanwhile, lower dopamine activities like studying or working feel boring and unappealing. Here is the kicker. Your brain doesn't care if the high dopamine activity is harmful or unproductive. It just craves more. That is why a drug addict keeps chasing their next hit, even knowing it is destructive. Similarly, scrolling through social media or binge-watching shows might not be as extreme, but they create the same dopamine-driven cycle. Even worse, our constant exposure to high dopamine activities builds tolerance. Over time, our brain adjusts to the level of dopamine by reducing its sensitivity. As a result, low dopamine activities feel even more unmotivating. Now, the solution. When I realized how dopamine was controlling my habits, I knew I needed to take action. I entered the Dopamine Detox, a game changer for resetting my brain. Here is how it works. For one whole day, I cut out all high dopamine activities. No internet, no video games, no junk food, no music. I embrace boredom completely. Instead, I focus on simple, low dopamine tasks like going for a walk, meditating, or journaling, reflect on my goals and ideas. It's not easy, trust me, boredom hits hard. But that's the point. By starving my brain of constant dopamine hits, I reset my tolerance levels. Suddenly, tasks that felt boring before, like reading or working, become more appealing. While a full detox is powerful, it's not always practical. So I created a system to manage my dopamine long term. Here is how it works. Start with a hard task. I always tackle low dopamine activities like cleaning, exercising, or studying first. Then earn the reward. Once I have completed a set amount of productive work, I reward myself with a small dose of high dopamine activity like browsing the internet or playing a game. Then finally, limit indulgence. The key is moderation. For example, I allow myself 15 minutes of fun for every hour of work. This system flips the dopamine script. Instead of mindlessly indulging, I use high dopamine activities as a tool to motivate myself. Think of your brain like your taste buds. If you eat gourmet meals every day, plain rice tastes bland. But if you are stranded on an island with nothing to eat, that same bowl of rice feels like a feast. The dopamine detox works the same way. By cutting back on constant stimulation, you make the simple, everyday task more rewarding. If you are struggling with motivation, start small. Pick one high dopamine activity like social media or gaming and avoid it for a day each week. Use the boredom to tackle those low dopamine tasks you have been putting off. Over time, you will notice a shift. Tasks like studying, working, or exercising won't feel as hard anymore. And when you do indulge in your favorite activities, they will feel even more enjoyable. So the next time you find yourself procrastinating, remember, the key to doing hard things isn't willpower. It's understanding how to work with your brain's dopamine system. Take control and you will be amazed at what you can accomplish.